Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. You would not believe how excited I am to finally talk about this book. After finishing it in literally a couple of days, this book is still fresh in my mind, and I am so psyched to talk about it. With all that said and done. What's up, fellow readers? This is Rambling Collector, back here with another book review for all of you today. And this one is going to be special, as today we are going to be talking about the second book in the Dead Souls series, A New Night, by R.I. Polsgrove. I gotta tell you guys, I have been waiting to read this book for a while, because after my reviews of Death to the Soul and all the other works done by R.I. Polsgrove, such as Quinn, Midnight Kiss, and Korra, this one I have been eagerly waiting for, just to see more of the adventures of Quinn and Rianne. Now this one definitely hits all the marks. It has good romantic drama, a good bit of spice, and mostly a good bit of wholesomeness here and there, whilst also tackling a lot of very serious issues such as post-traumatic stress disorder, trauma, and a lot of other heavy scenarios. Now, I will say, this review will contain a few mild spoilers. I'll warn you that ahead of time right now, but I will try to keep them as brief or as mild as I can, and just give a general overview of my entire thoughts on this book. But one thing I do want to get out of the way first is to talk about something very special. When I was looking through the dedications for this book, I was actually very surprised and actually very honored to see my name mentioned in the dedications. Now, to be fair, I've been working with R.I. Polsgrove for a while now. I've reviewed a lot of their works, from Death to the Soul and Korra, all the way through Quinn, to even their first ever novel, Rise of Arenthia. And to see the fact of how I was now in the dedications for this book, honestly left me a bit misty-eyed and feeling incredibly honored. The funny thing is, we actually met through a Facebook group when I was looking for new books to review by indie authors, specifically. They hit me up asking me if I would want to check out their books and give them a review, and I told myself, sure, why not? Let me see what you got. Little was I prepared for the backstory and the motivation for why they decided to create this series. But since then, I have been a die-hard supporter of their work. However, this review will not be biased because of that. This is just my honest opinion about the entire book. With that out of the way, let's get started. So, one thing I definitely liked about A New Night for the first half was the genuine lightheartedness of the whole story at first. Because, while yes, Quinn and Rianne are definitely juggling their traumas, at the same time, I loved seeing the interactions between the characters of Quinn, Rianne, Lucas, and Natalie, at one point just going out and having a night out on the town, or, in some cases, taking down not-so-innocent people for their crimes against humanity, which results in a bit of torture, a bit of blood drinking, and a little bit of sadistic fun for those of you who can enjoy that. Now, to be honest, I absolutely loved the interactions, especially when they were trying to introduce Quinn to a cellular phone, as well as social media. Oh my god, poor Quinn. The guy was so much a fish out of water that it was absolutely hilarious, and I cannot help but pity, but also laugh at him at that point. Especially when he first starts up Facebook, and he's immediately freaking out about all the ladies trying to send him a friend request. And his main reaction is just, who are these women trying to be my friends? I don't know any of them. And Lucas, by God, is just being an absolute troll about everything. One of my favorite scenes is when they're all talking and hanging out, and at one point, Lucas makes a remark that has Quinn say that he should put him on a leash. And just, Lucas takes this in stride and says, well, if you insist. And Quinn freaks out before the girls turn back, ask what the heck's going on, and Lucas immediately shouts, Quinn wants to put me on a leash. I absolutely love the chemistry between these four. And especially Lucas just being the absolute gremlin that he is. It's just awesome. But let's talk about Quinn and Rianne. Now this book is in fact a lot more centric to Quinn and Rianne, exploring their relationship with each other as they bond and work together through each other's traumas or insecurities, whilst also enjoying a bit of passionate lovemaking in between. I absolutely loved the chemistry between these two. It felt natural. It felt good. More importantly, I love a scene where Rianne is at one point working on her jewelry and crafts. Quinn comes down, admires her work. Rianne starts talking bad about herself because throughout this whole book we see flashbacks of Rianne's life with her abusive mother. And it's never fun. Especially when she starts putting herself down concerning her works, but Quinn immediately steps up and tells her, hey, no one disses my soulmate, especially my soulmate. And he starts talking all about her craftsmanship and how it can actually be sold for a good, decent amount of money. More importantly, the fact is these are handmade crafts that she does. So the point is somebody is going to buy them in one way or another, is what he tries to tell her. While she's good at crafting, she's not very good at selling. But that's where Quinn comes in and offers to help to sell some of her stuff, which she has 3 drawers of the stuff. My God, woman, how much do you craft? And it's honestly wholesome to watch them trying to support each other. Of course, no relationship is without its drama, and we get that in part 2 especially. When we hear about more of Rianne's backstory, especially concerning a favorite cousin of hers named Chase, who was one of the few bright spots in Rianne's horrible childhood, putting it that way. He was there for her, supportive of her, was one of the few to actually listen and understand about her abuse. And we come to find out Quinn is actually responsible for the disappearance and murder of Chase. That in fact Chase was a victim of Quinn's, stating how they never found the body, just his car. And that alone lets you know that Quinn has messed up, especially when he at one point goes into the car that he had used once before and finds the bead necklace that he has seen a picture of Chase and Rianne, and seeing Chase with that bead bracelet that Rianne had made for him. And that really nails the consequences of his actions, especially when Rianne finds out about this from Quinn. And she immediately becomes angry, distraught, and then walks out to get space away from Quinn. Because at that point she cannot look at him without seeing the fact that she has been living with the murderer of someone who actually supported her during her childhood. And it hurts her a lot. And Quinn, at the end of the day, he winds up hating himself because of this. Throughout the whole second half of the book, he cycles back on this due to his own guilty conscience of hurting Rianne the way he did. And this really nails home the ideology of actions of consequences. And it is fantastic to see this. Not to mention the lengths Rianne goes to afterwards, finding out that Quinn is about to do some very drastic measures after finding out that through their soul bond she cannot be hurt. But when she finds out that she has started to bleed again, realizing that Quinn is trying to break the soul bond, the lengths that she goes to find him is incredible. And then, right after that, trying to be there for him, telling him, hey, he does not have to deal with this alone. And while she has a right to be angry with him, that in the end, she still loves and cares about him. And that's something a lot of relationships need to understand. There are times when you are going to be angry with your partner. That doesn't mean you stop loving them, though. Because let's face it, relationships are not an easy thing. Sometimes they'll have rough patches, sometimes they can be rocky. But so long as you are aware that your partner still loves and cares about you, that means that you can still weather through it. Because let's face it, there are times when you are going to mess up and your partner is going to be angry with you. But the best thing you can do is understand that, but also realize that they still love and care about you. And that is exactly what this book teaches you. That one, actions will have consequences, but two, it is important to understand that while your partner might be angry with you, it is important to understand that they still care about you, and that you should not resort to drastic measures like Quinn does here, when he tries to off himself for his mistakes. And it takes Lucas and Rianne working together to find him and stop him from doing a massive mistake of trying to end himself. Now, again, with Lucas and Rianne, I love their chemistry throughout the first half of the book. I love their bonding and how they seem to act more like long-lost siblings than they do cousins. And they care about each other very much because they are related by blood, which makes them family. And in all honesty, compared to Rianne's past of very abusive relatives, and Lucas being a vampire being one of the few decent ones, notice I say that with air quotes, because decent is a little bit hard to live up to, and the fact is, Lucas is just absolute chaos incarnate and a vampire who will remorselessly kill anyone who gets in his way, and yet he still cares about her more than her ex-family ever did, which is awesome. I love that. And not to mention, I, again, love the stupid antics the four of them get up to. Now, this one definitely was more Quinn and Rianne centric, which is very nice, and the author has actually stated that they are making a side piece to add that focuses on Lucas and Natalie and what they were up to during the course of this book, which to me is awesome, and I cannot wait to get my hands on it and read it whenever it does come out. I love me some Quinn and Rianne, but I also really like Lucas and Natalie's relationship. It's wholesome, it's nice, they're all messed up individuals in one way or another, but because of that, they work so well together with good chemistry. Now, another thing that I did like is the concept of how Quinn and Rianne, because of their pasts, are not the greatest fans of Mother's Day. There is a good chapter or two where it focuses on this, of them just going out and trying to enjoy a day on the town, but seeing a bunch of Mother's Day memorabilia splattered all over town. And I love how they take a moment to be vulnerable with each other and talk about their past experiences with their abusive mothers. And you can tell that these two have been through a lot, but the fact that they have found each other and understand each other so well is absolutely heartwarming, in my opinion. And it really goes to show that sometimes some holidays are not meant to be celebrated, especially when some people have a very bad history with a certain parent. And I love how they start making jokes about it, like saying, abusive mothers excluded from Mother's Day, as well as the joke cards that they would give to these abusive mothers, like showing a mother kicking her or screaming at her child, saying, "You did this," and it looks like it's drawn in children's crayon. That is just dark comedy gold, and I loved it. Now, I will say this much. There is a major twist at the end, after Quinn and Rianne seem to resolve their issues for now, but they both agree that they do need therapy, which is great to see. And I will say that twist definitely pulled the rug out from under me in regards to Chase. I will not spoil what it is, but I will say this much: if you want to find out for yourself, go and read the book. And I will say this much for the writing. I love R.I. Polsgrove's writing because of the fact that it is very fast-paced, but not so fast that you lose yourself in being unable to connect with the characters. It's quick enough to where you can connect with the story, but not so tedious as to drag with descriptive features or things like that. It drives you right into the meat of the story straight away and just keeps gunning forwards towards the iceberg, full steam ahead, let's go. And I love that. Now, let's move on to the final score. But you all should know what it's going to be anyways, from this glowing review. So all in all, A New Night is going to give a solid 10 out of 10 from me. And I feel it deserves that wholeheartedly. Now, if you guys are interested to check out any more of my book reviews, I will leave a link to the playlist right here. But if you're interested to check out more of R.I. Polsgrove's works, including my unofficial narration of their short story Grimm, as well as my reviews of all their other works, I will leave a link to that playlist as well. And then once again, thank you all for listening to this crazy man's ramblings, and I hope this review has inspired you to check out the book for yourself. Feel free to let me know down in the comments. And if you liked this video, feel free to leave a like, comment, or subscribe if you're interested for more. Once again, thank you for listening to this crazy man's ramblings. This is Rambling Collector, signing off for now. Keep reading, my friends, and have a nice day.